Birds Star Wars, a crossover between the Star Wars franchise and the Angry Birds series of video games, launched on November 8th, 2012. First for Windows, iOS, and Android devices, and later for, let's just say other platforms. As the sixth entry into the main series, it borrowed elements from nearly every previous installment, but primarily the established classic and space titles, as levels took place both on standard terrain and in outer space. It served as an adaptation of the original trilogy of the Star Wars series, meaning levels take the player from Tatooine to the Death Star to Hoth to Cloud City and others. This also means it attempts to reenact the plot of those films, but of course here there's an Angry Birds spin, with many characters from the Angry Birds franchise playing the role of Star Wars characters. Red stars as Luke Skywalker, Bomb plays as Obi-Wan Kenobi, Chuck as Han Solo, the Blues are a squadron of pilots, Terrence fittingly as Chewbacca, and Stella obviously portrays Princess Leia. There are a few other characters such as Lando, Yoda, R2-D2, and C-3PO, which play lesser roles throughout the story, but are important to mention for the purposes of this video. Oh yeah, and there are countless villainous characters that are by and large represented by the Bad Piggies, notably Darth Vader, the Stormtroopers, and Boba Fett. With the exception of the Blues, all playable characters are given new powers not yet seen before in a canon Angry Birds title, some of which are upgraded as the game progresses further. These powers include a lightsaber, the Force, a blaster, an earthquake, and a tractor beam, all of which faithfully recreate each character within the simplicity of the physics-based game. That's a sentiment shared by most, as Star Wars received praise for having a lighthearted reverence for its subject matter, taking itself seriously, yet not too seriously. This praise was not only held within the Angry Birds community, but the Star Wars community as well, which is particularly surprising given the countless misguided cash grab partnerships it experienced in the past. Sales reflected this reality as the title topped the App Store charts within 2 hours of release, helping Rovio make over $200 million in 2012, and reportedly racking up over 100 million downloads within 1 calendar year. However, most importantly from a consumer standpoint, this crossover allowed for obvious marketing tie-ins, making sure that no matter where you went, you could not escape the endless sea of Angry Birds Star Wars merchandise. No matter what they decide to do, it was going to sell, given that we're talking about one of the most popular mobile apps and film franchises in history. One thing was for sure, Rovio commissioned Commonwealth to release a new set of Star Wars themed plushies, the most popular product in the history of the Angry Birds franchise. Exactly a month prior to the game's release, Rovio unveiled the official Star Wars product line at Toys R Us Times Square, highlighted by Hasbro's games and Commonwealth's plush merchandise. Visitors in attendance caught a glimpse of the upcoming set of 6 characters perched at the top floor of the store, overlooking the Angry Birds section directly out the window. Adjacent to them was a massive Chewbacca plush where avid fans could take photos with various Rovio employees. Following the reveal, pre-orders became available through the various online shops that typically sold merchandise in the past, such as Shop.Angry Birds and Toy Wiz. Both claimed orders would ship around late November, though a few sources claim that Toys R Us and Amazon would get them at the end of October for those who were too impatient. Unlike some other sets we've discussed previously, there was no delay for the Star Wars set, as it was imperative to get the products out in conjunction with the game's debut. The set of 6 characters included Red Skywalker, Chuck Han Solo, Princess Stella, Chewbacca, Lord Vader, and the Pig Trooper, each available for approximately $14.99 for the 5-inch variation. Though you were not limited to just that, as each character was offered in a plethora of sizes from the 3-inch backpack clip all the way up to the 16-inch jumbo variation. Though oddly, no Chewbacca backpack clip was ever made, but I can see why given all the fur the plush has. Speaking of specific details, each character was designed from the ground up, with a few significant touches on each to help bring the game to life. For example, Red was equipped with a lightsaber handle on his belt, and featured a dirty blonde cut and eyebrows to identify with Skywalker. Chuck was quite similar, as he carried a blaster to his right and was dressed in Solo's signature V-neck attire. By comparison, Stella was rather disappointing, considering her plush lacks a tractor beam, though I suppose this is game accurate and her hairstyle more than makes up for it. Terrence has to be the most interesting piece in this set, with a dense fur coat and bushy unibrow, perfectly recreating Chewbacca's appearance in plush form. This plush even has an opening beak with small pointed teeth, and Chewie's signature bandolier strapped around his body. The 2 pigs in the set are rather similar, yet both were 2 of the most unique plushies to date, due to their smooth fabric texture to make them appear as if they were wearing a suit. I especially appreciate the shaping on these. They really appear as if you ripped them straight out of the game. Commonwealth went all out with this set for retailers, designing all new display boxes for the smaller plushies, which also carried over to the 8-inch boxes, and giving them massive store displays covered with Star Wars designs and logos. This set also introduced Star Wars specific side and tush tags, the latter being a first for the plush range. To ensure their global ubiquity, Commonwealth stuffed them into claw machines as well, though as we've established, those versions are quite subpar compared to the retail ones. Whether you were a Star Wars fan, an Angry Birds fan, or a combination of the two, these were must-have items for the holiday season. This was yet another hit for Angry Birds merchandise, one that simply had to have a follow-up, especially when so many significant characters were omitted from the initial wave. As we know, a second wave was commissioned with 4 more characters to round out the collection, but as we've come to expect with Commonwealth merchandise, there's more to the story than that. 2013's London Toy Fair was set for January 23rd, and as they had in previous years, Commonwealth brought plenty of merchandise current and upcoming to the convention, most notably a new wave of Star Wars characters. Congruently, this was also a set of 6 characters, though this wasn't exactly true as Terabaka was also part of Wave 1, but they brought him back for Wave 2 being that it was a hot commodity. Each new character, with the exception of Obi-Wan, was a bit more niche, though would be appreciated by avid collectors such as yours truly. Toy Wiz pre-orders reemerged later that year in May, with shipments expected to arrive in June. Though wait a minute, there's something missing here. I swear there were 5 before, but I can't quite put my finger on what's missing. The R2-D2 egg was canned for some reason, can't imagine why given there's no obvious choking hazard, offensive design detail, or feature too expensive to produce. If you're inclined to do a little research, you'll eventually come across a video entitled My Angry Birds Plush Collection by a user named Planet Ico, which at first may just appear to be any other low-quality plush showcase attempting to rack up some views. Then, if you make it to the end of the video, you'll see that this person just so happens to have the R2-D2 egg plush, which he claims to have found in his father's storage unit. How this guy got his hands on it is beyond me. Wish I could contact him to find out, but you know. Enough of that tangent though, because we need to talk about the officially released characters, which have a few of their own mysteries to address. Wave 2 debuted on Toy Wiz in June and Shop and Angry Birds in August, and largely had the same characteristics as the first wave plushies, such as the tags, size variations, and availability. I cannot say they are identical though, because the backpack clip releases were not widely available. In fact, they're some of the most obscure pieces of Angry Birds merchandise. As I've been told by various collectors in the community who have them, they had a limited release in Chilean Walmart stores. They were distributed by a company called Clue, who specialized in the distribution of Commonwealth merchandise for the Chilean market. Clue had placed an order for these when the set was first released, and Commonwealth obliged by fulfilling that request. Cannot imagine many of these exist outside of South America, so if you can find them, I advise picking them up. This second wave undoubtedly lived up to the first, to the point where one could be mistaken in thinking they were all part of the same assortment. X-Wing Red was simply the Red Skywalker plush but with a helmet, just like the one pictured in the box art. Obi-Wan was probably a character that should have been included in Wave 1, though I suppose better late than never. Love the peach fuzz detailing, his large brown cloak, and his little lightsaber handle, just like in the game. C-3PO was rather simple by comparison, though I enjoy the use of the smooth fabric and the embroidered eye details that signify him as a droid. And lastly, we have Yoda, who was perhaps the most visually impressive plush of both waves, given his shaping, the subtle facial details, and the small patches of gray hair around his pointed ears. Always loved this one, and it's definitely a favorite of the set. Something unique about this set is the use of special sound chips, something rarely seen on Commonwealth merchandise. Each character had one, including Chewbacca, which I just so happen to have in working order. Always thought they should have done this more, because it would actually give you a reason to collect ones with sound chips. Then again, Rovio didn't even want sound chips to begin with, so this is probably a moot point. This begs the question, did R2-D2 have the same thing? In February 2015, Tesco, a chain of British grocery retailers, ran a promotion where customers could redeem pretty much every Star Wars plush ever released. Commonwealth rarely provided merchandise for these types of things, typically that was handled by TCC Global, who you'll know for these plushies. However, for whatever reason, Rovio insisted that Commonwealth provide the plushies this time around. Thus, a large order was placed for 8-inch Wave 1 and Wave 2 characters. Tesco would award customers with a special stamp to place on a card every time they spent a certain amount, depending on what country they were in. Once they collected 15 stamps, they'd be awarded one of 9 available Star Wars plushies for 70% off. You still had to pay for them, interestingly, though it's hard to argue with that type of discount. Red, Chuck, Bomb, Terrence, Stella, Yoda, C-3PO, Darth Vader, or a Stormtrooper were available, and unlike Changi Airport, you could pick whichever character you like. In a similar fashion to the Good Stuff plushies, these were more cost-effective variations, with each character featuring some distinct differences from their retail variations. For example, Red Skywalker's lightsaber handle was pretty much two-dimensional, and every character within the set used a matte fur texture. Perhaps the most fascinating difference with these are the side tags, which use the Star Wars 2 tags just like the ones seen in the actual Star Wars 2 prototypes. The promotion ran until March 25th, though I'm sure you could still buy them as you normally would after that. So now you know all about Waves 1 and 2, but did you know there was supposed to be a Wave 3? And no, I'm not talking about the infamous cancelled Star Wars 2 plushies which were cancelled due to royalty complications. I'm talking about a never-before-seen Wave 3. Anybody find it odd how we only got 2 bad piggy characters out of 2 whole waves? There's a plethora of specialized Star Wars pigs from the original game, both animate and inanimate. Okay, perhaps I've got you intrigued, but let me provide some context before I show you something. About a month ago, I reached out to the former Executive Vice President of Commonwealth Toys, Alec Kessler, somebody who you recognize from various Toy Fair images. I was of course inquiring about the various mysteries associated with the plush range, though as always I didn't expect to get any sort of response. They never respond. What will be different this time, I said to myself. Although we no longer work for the company and contacting him was a long shot, I had to try it, as if anybody knew information or perhaps the whereabouts of obscure items, it was him. Not even a day later, he surprisingly replied. Though he didn't have anything to tell me directly, he provided contact information for the CEO of Commonwealth Toys. You could imagine how exciting this opportunity was, as for years we've tried contacting them with nothing to show for it. This was it. The opportunity of a lifetime. Getting to talk with somebody who's at the head of business operations and had been with the company throughout the entirety of the Angry Birds partnership? Nirvana achieved. I've learned a lot through various emails and Zoom meetings, which I'll sprinkle throughout future videos. The CEO explained during our various communications that most of their inventory is situated in a storage unit 45 minutes outside of their Manhattan headquarters. He told me he had made arrangements to acquire 3 boxes of Star Wars Wave 3 plushies, which I had inquired about. When the boxes arrived at the office, he opened them and sent me photos of what was inside. Are you ready? Are you sure? Okay, you've come this far. You deserve it.
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for.
We'll talk about the Star Wars 2 characters another time, but I want to focus on these absolutely bizarre plushies. We have a Millennium Falcon, an X-Wing fighter, the Star Destroyer, an AT-AT, an AT-ST, 4 TIE fighters, and a Death Star zippered carrying case. These are incredible. Certainly the most unique plushies that would have ever released. These were conceived and quickly scrapped as Commonwealth couldn't envision them being a quick sell in the oversaturated market. Of course, we plush collectors would have bought them, including that bizarre Death Star designed to carry your Star Wars plushies on the go. Interesting idea certainly, looks pretty cool too. In this image, you can see a few R2-D2s in various sizes, though you can also see a Wave 3 Lando plush, which looks quite dissimilar compared to the Star Wars 2 version. There's also an enslaved Leia plush from Return of the Jedi, which, given the controversy surrounding the character, this one never saw the light of day. And as you may know, a few years ago, an eBay seller listed another Wave 3 prototype, the Greedo plush, a character that had a brief appearance in the actual game. If you thought Wave 2 had some niche characters, Wave 3 had that beat. So there you have it. A comprehensive overview of the Commonwealth Angry Birds Star Wars plushies. Waves 1, 2, and 3. Each successive wave got more complicated in terms of their history, so I hope I explained things well enough and provided some excitement near the end with the Wave 3 characters. When combined, it's one of the largest sets out there, with nearly 30 characters to collect including prototypes. Not an easy one to complete, to say the least. If you have any comments, questions, or complaints, you can let me know in the comment section below. With that I say, peace out. We discussed quite a few prototypes today, but there were a few others I'd like to quickly address here as I couldn't find a place to include them throughout the video. At the aforementioned London Toy Fair in 2013, a Luke Skywalker plush was spotted featuring an extended lightsaber blade. Whether this was an early version or a planned variation, we probably will never know, but we do know for certain that this one was an early prototype. Commonwealth posted this image to their Instagram page for the annual Star Wars May 4th Day, and for whatever reason, they chose to use a prototype Luke and R2-D2 to share their message. And you've probably seen this prototype Yoda before, as the image is not too difficult to come across on the web. All four of these are fascinating to see, though I think it's easy to see why a few of these were never produced.